What's up? Welcome back to my channel, or for the first time if you're new, I'm Sylvan, and today I'm going to be reacting to Fruits Basket Episode 5. I'm very excited to get into this. I'm not going to delay things at all. Let's just get straight into it. Very big cliffhanger from last time. Okay, it's the better of the two options that I was talking about. Yeah, okay. It seems like she's very reluctant. She switches on the smile real quick. Huh? Oh, straight into a flashback, jeez. God, she's been like this for so long. Hmm. Yeah, you can be selfish sometimes. You don't need to always be doing things for other people. You are your own person. God. Are you? I think just about anywhere is that. Huh. Yeah, okay. She really, really likes this place. It seems like the Soma household has very much become a place of comfort. To the point that she's even, like, reluctant to go back to her grandfather. Huh. I'm curious what that's born out of. Is it just the like mystery and intrigue of the Zodiac and them being like connected to it? Or, I feel like it isn't just that, but that probably is a part of it. I feel like much more realistically, it either is just she feels like she's really connected with people like Yuki and Kyo and enjoys the like status quo they have at the household, or possibly an element of it is just in comparison to what she was dealing with before, it is so much better that her sense of like actual objectivity is sort of shot on what a nice living space is, because her time with the Somas is the best thing pretty much in a long time. She's trying to make sure they're all okay. God. Huh. What you thinking, Yuki? Kyo's also been very distant. Hmm. Yeah, but yeah, they cannot connect their own feelings to anything. Yeah, okay. No, no, that's not it. Well, sort of, but Oh. Title drop? Okay. A rice ball? Oh. Why? Oh. But it never was. That's fucked up. Classic kid bullying, though. That doesn't mean you're not a person worthy of love and family. Oh. Okay. Mm. So she has her own sense of loneliness and not belonging. Hmm. Interesting. Yeah. Hmm. Yeah, they had just planned that. Of course, this doesn't mean they can't still be friends, but they were only getting closer. Oh, there's already a lot of fond memories. It's cool to see the two of them on a similar wavelength, even if it's out of gloominess, a bit of determination. Yeah. Well, this is a nice room, all things considered. Hmm. Oh, they're sharing a room. That's less fortunate. Okay. The grandpa is not all there. Oh. Yeah. Technically, yeah. A private detective. Uh-huh. Oh. Huh. Judgment. Oh, I already hate this guy's attitude. Yo! Oh, it's the grandpa. Okay, even if he's not 100% there, he still is a kind grandfather. Wow. Nope. No. Family can be a bitch sometimes. But saying bad things to you, yeah. Wow, the grandpa actually approving. Huh. Mmm. Despite the fact that it's all she's done for a while. Hmm. Wow, okay. Hell yeah, approving grandpa. Don't deserve you deserve completely to have more. Yeah. That doesn't mean you don't deserve it. There's a difference between being grateful and forcing yourself into a position you don't want to be in. Go home. She already considers it home. The impact they've made on each other's lives is already so big. God. The music is doing a good job right here. And you can go back, even if it's unconventional. Maybe a little, but it doesn't matter. No. You're too hard on yourself, if anything. Yuki! Stopping by? Yo? Wow, okay. It is a bit unconventional in the first place, but yeah. Uh-oh. Sure, whatever. I'm assuming this is before he had gone just like a moment ago in the episode. Yeah, he's going. He took the address. What are you looking for? Sure, definitely. Yeah, I had a feeling. So he's right behind. Oh boy, this is gonna make things complicated. Oh boy. Not good enough to beat him yet. Oh my god, they're so bad with directions. Yeah, the exterior walls aren't complete, so you can just look for that. Oh, it was even just covered outright, so no wonder they didn't find it. So both of them came in nice. Because they're in the middle of their dramatic moment. Yeah, okay. Oh wow, they were sneaking behind there. Were their shadows visible before and I didn't notice? God, I hate this guy's attitude. So they witnessed that. Yeah, it's what Toru wants. Yeah. It's actually really important, I think, that they see this. And there's all the proof you need that she wants to go back. Hmm. And her calling them out specifically. And he moved faster. Jesus, he moved quick. Just a little bit of breaking and entering. Yo! Oh my god. Jeez, they're really just taking her. Oh my god. Yo. You do, you just won't admit it. Or maybe you really don't understand. Yeah, okay. Not in touch with his feelings, as to be expected. That's a big deal. They worked together. Oh, yeah. You don't always have to be altruistic. You don't have to always be for other people. Yeah. Even if it's just once in a while. You gotta do things for yourself sometimes. Fuck. Oh, fuck. And there it comes. Ah, oh, God. Yeah, that's more home. If Kyo can speak words reminiscent of her mother, like that, That's all the proof we need. Oh, and oh my god, I'm stuttering. He takes her other hand. Oh my god. Oh, it did actually get called at the end. Or, well, really, metaphorically so is what I take it as. She's having her moment. I wouldn't say that, but you're lucky right now. Yeah, from their perspective, something insane just happened. God. Okay. Capturing the princess. Oh, she hasn't stopped blushing. The fallout. Wow, this is like the first time we've seen him blush. Yeah. It was both of you. Yeah. It may not be perfect, but it fits you well. Nice. Your new family. Family isn't just who you're related to. Hell yeah. This episode was really good. I really like it. This very much is a major turning point for a variety of reasons. Though the majority of the episode is focused on Toru, it realistically is a turning point, a major moment for all three of our main trio. For Toru, it is the first time she is very hesitantly allowing herself to be, in her words, selfish. And for Kyo and Yuki, it is the first time, as far as we know, that they have been able to, in any way, shape, or form, even if they're bickering the whole way, work together to achieve a goal. They have been of like mind for the purpose of a unified goal, despite their differences. And ultimately, that is what this episode is entirely focused on. There really is very little fluff, very little extraneous information happening. It's very efficient and focused, which I appreciate for something like this. But also because of that, realistically, there are only so many things I want to talk about, but they are some big things. So I'll start with some of the smaller details and build up to the bigger ones. To start with, I want to acknowledge the attitude of Toru's family. In one of the previous episode reactions during the analysis, I briefly discussed my opinion of the grandpa based on the very limited amount of information we got on him, and it seems I was fairly correct in my assessment of that, as I thought that realistically he wasn't neglectful or cruel to Toru in any way, but just does not have necessarily the capability to really take care of her. And it seems like that is backed up here very well. Her grandfather constantly is getting her name wrong and is very clearly very old. Not necessarily completely senile, but very old nonetheless. But that doesn't stop him from being deeply caring for Toru. Whether or not he recognizes that he directly does not have the capability to take care of her, he at the very least recognizes that Toru is her own person with her own wants and needs that may not be fulfilled under the same roof as him. And therefore, having learned that she found another home to live in, that she clearly cares about the people who live there with her. He, regardless of how much he actually understands what's going on, wants what's best for Toru. What she wants is what he wants in this case. But unfortunately, that is where it seems the good aspects of her relatives stop, because in their own ways, the other three relatives have their own issues when it relates to Toru. Though it's not necessarily fair to say that these people are all bad, they haven't necessarily done anything that is truly reprehensible or anything, but throughout this episode they actually serve as a very interesting dichotomy to Toru's issues in this episode and the lesson that she needs to learn. Because where Toru in this episode has to essentially be forced into letting herself be a little bit selfish, these relatives in their own ways are embodiments of too much selfishness. I don't know exactly how these people are related, but I'm gonna just sort of do my best guess. The girl who Toru is close in age with, who's gonna be sharing a room with, probably a cousin or something, she has some of the more mild amount of this, but she still expresses a level of selfishness in the sense that though her emotions are understandable and fair, being upset that she's, despite moving into a bigger house, needing to now share a room with Toru, despite the prospective upgrade of a bigger house, she has to downgrade in her own privacy. That's not great, that's not ideal, but the fact that she openly is sounding that in front of Toru is relatively rude. I'll put it that way. It's not necessarily uncalled for, but Toru is not the one to take it out on. Not to say that she even really does, but it is a sign that she is thinking more of herself than of someone like Toru, because rather than being like, hey, this is rough for both of us, I know this isn't ideal for either of us, but we'll figure it out, or something along those lines, she's just going, God damn it, why do I have to deal with this? To the other person who also has to deal with this. Then we have the other guy, who I think is probably also a cousin, and his mother. I'm imagining the mother is of both kids, presumably. Probably like an aunt or something to Toru. They have a bit of a shared selfishness in the sense of the guy is wanting to become a police officer, and his mother fully supports him in that. But they have this vain pride to them about it, thinking that because he's going to be a police officer one day, because of course he wouldn't fail to become a police officer, they can't allow criminal elements to be associated with them. They can't allow delinquents to be anywhere near them, to the point that they are hiring people to investigate their own family to make sure that no crimes are happening. They question Toru's choice of friends. They effectively are beginning to isolate Toru, saying that you are the problem child here, you need to stay in your lane and make sure you don't cause us problems. It's an incredibly vain and selfish attitude. Even if these people are not horrible all the time, even if they, largely speaking, are good people, their attitudes are very self-centered, with the exception of the grandpa, of course. But in the case of Toru, she is the exact opposite. She is selfless to a fault. Since her childhood, she has always been doing things for others. We get a further example of this in one of the flashbacks we get in this episode, to when her mother was still alive, when she was making food despite having a fever, leading to her mother telling her it's okay to get discouraged sometimes. You don't always have to be 100%, you don't always need to be doing things for others. You can take time for yourself. You can stop and rest. It's something that we've been building up to since episode 1. Toru is a person who never takes time for herself, never stops, always is helping others to her own detriment if necessary, and never takes time to ask, am I doing too much? Am I okay? Can I take a break? And we see in this episode, when she begins to break down and acknowledge that she wants to go back to the Soma household, we can see the perspective she has on things. We can see a lot more clearly, though it could be intuited prior to now, much more obviously what her perspective on her own life is. Despite her life being far from perfect, despite all of the horrible things that have happened to her, and all of the horrible circumstances she's had to endure, she does not believe she deserves all of this happiness and potential selfishness. She sees all of the things she has been given, no matter how small or how few, or how complicated and not quite perfect, and instead of asking, is this enough? She asks, do I even deserve this much? She finds it almost impossible until she's hit a breaking point to ask for more, to ask for something different than she's been given, which is incredibly understandable on many levels. In this case, when someone is offering to support you and let you live under their roof, That's a big deal. That's very important, very nice and kind. And for Toru, that is something she does not want to toss away and deny. But she isn't able to recognize that though being offered a place to live is a nice and kind thing on its own, when paired with the fact that the people offering it do not like you, will ostracize you, and constantly complain about your presence, that is not kindness. That is not something you need to be grateful for. That is not something you need to be worried about giving up for something better. It is possible to be kind and thankful and grateful for something and then pass it up. You can show appreciation for something and then kindly decline it. And that is something she struggles with. Any attempt by Toru to go against the flow of things is incredibly difficult for her. Anything that she believes could cause problems for others or be seen as her denying kindness or not being grateful for what she has been given is near impossible for her. It takes 3 people she cares about all telling her, you can be selfish, you can choose how you want to live, you can do things for yourself, for her to even just reluctantly accept. At this point in time, she cannot do something for herself of her own volition. She has to be convinced to do something for herself. It takes her grandfather standing up for her and saying, you can do what you want. This place won't be good for you. You can do what you want with your life. You are your own person. You don't have to stay here and put up with any unpleasantness. Putting up with things doesn't suit you, Toru. It takes her grandfather saying all of that for her to even acknowledge the fact that she wants something else. She isn't at a point where she is willing yet to actually seek that out, but it takes that much for her to simply acknowledge she wants something. But it is also that line, putting up with things doesn't suit you, that I think is very important here. Because prior to now, for almost her entire life, Toru has been putting up with things in one way or another. As a child, she lived with a single mother who was needing to work all the time and came home exhausted, so she started doing things around the house. She put up with the fact that despite being so young, she was effectively needing to be a full adult, taking care of someone when they come home from work. After she had to leave her grandfather's house due to the renovations, she did not worry about pressuring anyone to help her. She put up with the fact that rather than burdening others, she could take care of herself. She would get a job despite being in high school. She would do great in school. She'd never be late. She could do all these things. She could live in a tent. She's putting up with all of that. And then here, finally, when she finally has a place that she loves to live in, a place that she can call home, a place that she feels like she is family, she puts up with the fact that she is told, come back home to a place you do not call home. But I agree with the grandfather. Despite the fact that she has been doing that her entire life, she has been putting up with things. It does not suit her. You can do things for others without ruining yourself. You don't have to put up with hardship for yourself to avoid discomfort with other people. It's okay to disappoint someone else if it means not ruining yourself. You can be an altruist without being a martyr, and that is something that Toru has yet to fully learn, but this is the first attempt, really, we've seen of someone trying to get that through to her. Her mother clearly attempted it to a degree, but was so busy with all of her issues that she couldn't spend the time to fully ensure that Toru embodied that. And as I said, she hasn't fully embodied that now either. She hasn't fully accepted that for herself. She's been merely pushed towards her own wishes. Her grandfather does enough to get her to just admit that she wants something, but the only thing that is able to get her to actually follow through with fulfilling what she wants is Yuki and Kyo literally dragging her home. Though I wouldn't necessarily say that Toru resists them dragging her home, it is clear from her cute sort of stumbling that she does not know how to deal with this for a variety of reasons. On one front, it is that reluctance to let herself be selfish. And then of course on the other hand, she is essentially being swept up off her feet and brought home to somewhere she cares about by 2 people she cares about. But even then, with them practically dragging her along, what it is that convinces her to accept it is, of course, in part, seeing how much they care about her, how much Kyo and Yuki are willing to do to pull her back to the Soma house, how much it affected them when she left, but what it takes to finally break her barriers and let her accept this and want this is Kyo of all people, someone who is not good with expressing their own emotions, telling her something very similar to what her mother told her. It's okay to be selfish, it's okay to get discouraged, even if it's just once in a while. You don't always have to live for others. That is the message here. Narratively, thematically, in-universe, everything is shouting that at Toru this episode and this entire series. But it is only when Kyo's words resonate back into her past to the words of her mother that she breaks down. And it's here, through tears, that all she's able to do is say, I want to go home. And of course they know where that is. Even someone like Kyo understands what she's asking. And so it's with that Kyo, Yuki, and Toru return home to the Soma household, their real home, to their real family. They may not be related by blood, they may not even be in a relationship of any kind, but they are still family. If I'm right on some of my assumptions from last episode about the nature of Shigeru's house and why both Kyo and Yuki are there, then it would be fitting to describe the three of them as three outcasts, three outsiders who have found belonging among each other. Of course, Kyo and Yuki aren't there yet. They are still constantly bickering and fighting, but they're on their way. As I touched on earlier, this is the first time they have had the same goal, the same belief of what needs to be done, even if they try to go about it in different ways and bicker because of it. They're all people seeking belonging, somewhere they can be accepted. This is most obvious for Kyo, someone who is explicitly an outsider among his family, someone who is seeking above all else to become officially a member of the family so that he can be welcomed and accepted. But Yuki has that as well, just in the other direction. He is accepted and praised among his family, but he is scarred by the loss of friendships and bonds he had as a child with normal people. He views his connection to the Zodiac as something that makes him other, that makes him separate from people that he wants to become close to, but cannot because of it. But as this episode showed, Toru is also an outsider. She is not someone incredibly well welcomed. Though she is more down on herself than is necessary, she is to an extent right that she isn't necessarily the smartest person around. Not to like a debilitating extent, not to an extent that it is worth saying in a negative manner, but in part because of that or something else about her, maybe just her circumstances. Kids can be cruel. She has been, for a good amount of her life, bullied to one degree or another. In the first episode's analysis, I had posited that perhaps she had sought out friendships with more delinquent and oddball outsider people at school because of her wish for people to be included and not ostracized. And though it is possible that that is still the case, what this episode makes clear to me is that the wish for people to be included and not ostracized, subconsciously if not consciously, is because she herself has been left out of things. She has been ostracized, she has been bullied. And so pairing that with her altruistic, selfless nature makes her constantly wanting to make sure that others are loved and included and taken care of. Where on the surface, Toru is the kind of person who it can be safely believed gets along with people, has a good social life, doesn't get bullied, is fine. More so than was already the case, this proves that, though in far subtler ways than someone like Kyo, she is also ostracized. She is also an outsider. And I think there is no better representation of the form of ostracization she endured, as well as how she is escaping that, than the flashback talking about how when she was a kid, she would be bullied. How at one point they played a game called Fruits Basket, where one kid would name each other kid a type of fruit or something, and once everyone was named, would call out the name of one thing, and everyone with that would run around whatever the rules of the game are. But notably, Toru was left out of this. She was part of the game in name alone, where everyone else got to be a fruit, something that should be included in this basket. She's a rice ball, something abnormal, something not to be included. And she was the only one, and was never called upon. She sat there happily waiting for her moment where she would be included, and yet it never came. For whatever reason the kids chose to bully her, she was ostracized and made to be an outsider. She's waited for that moment where she can find somewhere of belonging, someone who will call out to her and include her and say, you can be a part of this. And that is where, when Kyo and Yuki take her hands and guide her back to the Soma household, we return to that flashback. But this time, I believe, in form of metaphor, not in reality. She is finally called upon. She is finally included. She is finally given a place to be a part of. And the people who are doing that are Yuki and Kyo. Whether or not she realized it, she was waiting for this moment her entire life. She was waiting for a place she can belong, somewhere that people will welcome her into, and it has finally happened. It explains why she was so attached to the household, despite realistically spending no more than a few weeks with them, unless time is passing faster than I realize. Though she has people who love her and wish the best for her, she has not felt welcomed until now. When Yuki and Shigure saw her living in a tent and said, "We can't let this be the case, come live with us, we will help you," though she clearly did not internalize it initially or realize it consciously to any degree, that is what she has been wanting for a long time. And so in a way, them bringing her back now, this episode, is more of just a conscious acknowledgement of that for all of them. And I absolutely love it. This is an incredibly solid episode, something that builds upon just about everything we've gotten so far and delivers on what we want from it. It is incredibly wholesome while being incredibly sad at the same time. It is heartwarming and heartbreaking, and I'm honestly surprised that we got this early, but it works well in practice for so many reasons, as I've discussed. But it also, for the future, will work well because now, though not every word has been spoken aloud, everyone's feelings for each other are much more consciously acknowledged, even if it's just to themselves. These three care about each other and are willing to do things to help each other and want to stay in this status quo living together as a family. And so from here, their relationships can only get deeper in whatever form they take. And we already can see these layers being pulled back by the fact that at the end of the episode, Yuki actually gets flustered when someone calls out his feelings, something we haven't really seen before. He reacts with violence, of course, but those things are being acknowledged, and though they may be still hiding behind masks, not wanting to admit their complete feelings, they have acted upon them nonetheless. And that is amazing. I absolutely love that, and we shall see where it leads next time. But with that, I think I have covered just about everything this episode has to it, so I will leave things there for now. Feel free to like and subscribe if you enjoy the video, leave a comment on your thoughts, and I hope you all have a great day. Goodbye!